Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Today's video is a continuation of videos that I'm making trying to get people to see the reality that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. It's absolutely certain 100% that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. Now, I know you guys are inundated with the wackadoodle YouTubers out there, especially the people that are accusing the family members of killing Abby and Libby. They're going after Kelsey because a hair was found in Abby's hand that had the root on it. But as everybody knows, that a lot of times when women put sweatshirts on or pull the sweatshirt off their head, they'll pull a hair out, especially if they have long hair. And that day, Abby was wearing, at that time, what Libby had on, but Libby was borrowing that same sweatshirt from Kelsey. And it turns out that the hair in Abby's hand was one of Kelsey's hair with the root on it. What's the surprise there, everybody? That's what you would expect. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Then you've got these, defense attorneys out there that have seen better days, who are trying to use YouTube to promote their names again and try to get their name out there and say, look what I'm finding to make Richard Allen innocent. The guy that killed two girls. See, Richard Allen killed Abby and Libby. This would be like people in the Stephen Stearns case supporting Stephen Stearns and trying to figure out how to make him innocent. Richard Allen is the killer of Abby and Libby, right? Now, I'm going to show you pictures right here. These are pictures from Facebook back in like 2016 and 2017 of Richard Allen. And you'll see what he looked like. He's much sturdier looking, looks normal here. Notice the brownish graying beard that he has on. And here's another picture. He's sturdy, stocky guy. There's another picture with his wife, Kathy. There he is again. Absolutely sturdy, normal-looking person at that point. Now, here's a full body shot. And when you look at that, you don't look at him as being some weak, frail person. There he is again. Strong guy. There he is again. And there's another shot of him. And here's like getting closer to 2022. You can see, he's starting to look a little different there. But I think that this brown hat that he's wearing right here could very well be the hat in the image of Bridge Guy. Now look at it, how it even goes out. There's a little tiny part of it that actually goes outward, and you can see the shadow of it on his face. So is that what he was wearing in that video? And then there was just a bunched up hoodie behind it that made it look like they were all connected. And this is sort of later days too. This is kind of what he was looking like when he was, it seems like he was being consumed with guilt and he was just wasting away, and he turned into a completely different person. And here's what he looks like when he doesn't have a goatee on. That is not an earring there. That's just the same type of a light or whatever that is on the tree back there. Just happens to be in that position. But that's what he looks like when he's shaved. And I remember at the original press conference, they thought maybe that the killer would have cut his hair or shaved a beard or something like that afterwards. And you sort of wonder if, it's too bad Dan Doolin didn't actually have video of his interview with Richard Allen, because I suspect that you would see that he maybe shaved in that video if it existed, but we'll never know the answer to that. All right, so you see that picture, and then we move forward, and there's a picture of him, and it looks like this one's from November 29th, 2016. So this is right around the time where his daughter got engaged. And is that why they're here in the store, maybe picking out something for the engagement? Don't really know. He does have a jacket that he's wearing in that image that looks like possibly it could be the one that he's wearing on the bridge. Nobody really knows. Somebody commented and said, "Great, that's at the wedding. That's his coat jacket. Don't tell people lies." Wait, does that look like he's at a wedding here, everybody? He's actually at a store. You can see they're selling things right here. And he's drinking out of a cup here. Don't know what restaurant that's from. Looks like he just ate a hamburger or something. All right, so, try to think through things before you comment. It's actually kind of scary sometimes. All right, now that we've seen this, now let's take a look at this image right here. You see how Richard Allen and Bridge Guy are on the screen at the same time. Can you say that they do not have a consistent body shape? And the answer is no. They look identical. Now, I did scale one of the images to make them the same height on the screen. It's really just for comparing body proportions. And you see how his shoulders roll down. His right shoulder in the Bridge Guy image is up because he's propped up a gun underneath that jacket. But his left shoulder is very similar because that one's relaxed down with his hand in his left jean pocket. So I think it's very similar. Now, I also took an image of Richard Allen when he was playing pool and just took a picture of his face and put it up there in the Bridge Guy image. And, that image is going to be a lot clearer because it was taken from maybe 30 feet away, 20 feet away in a pool hall. But that's why, so lighting's different. But when you look at that, can you say that that isn't consistent? I mean, look at the beard's in the same place, nose, everything. It's not like he has a really long, narrow face or anything like that. So it's consistent. None of this stuff that I'm showing you right here could be used at a trial. However, the images of Richard Allen in 2017 absolutely should have been allowed to let the jury know that he looked different and had the appearance of somebody that would be capable of moving somebody like Libby. And I really don't understand why she didn't allow that. Now, maybe the prosecution, since they didn't have dates on it, and they are now going to get that metadata and perhaps put the metadata on top of the image so you can see in court what date those images are from. And maybe they'll be able to use those images in the rebuttal that the prosecution gives after the defense rests their case. All right, so now let's take a look at the thing that I keep showing people over and over and over again ad nauseum, because it absolutely proves that Richard Allen is the Bridge Guy. All right, so here we go. There's two different things that Richard Allen has proved as being the Bridge Guy in this animation that I have here. So we have two different time frames. Back when Dan Doolin interviewed him on February 18th, 2017, Richard Allen said he got to the bridge at 1:30 and he left at 3:30, and then he saw three girls there, and that he then went to the Monon High Bridge. And then when he was arrested in an October 13th, 2022 interview, he said that he got there between 12 and 1:30. So he was there between 12 and 1:30. That's when he left. Now, if he's saying in that one, well, he got there between 12 and 1:30, well, that's still accurate because 1:30-ish is the time he showed up. If he's saying he got there at 12 and he left at 1:30, well, that's completely bogus, because we also know that when Dan Doolin interviewed him, he got the MEI number off the phone, and that phone did not ping anywhere near the area on that day. As a matter of fact, there's no pinging of his phone. It's almost as if he turned it off, like what most innocent people do, as I said in the previous video. Nobody does that. Okay? So we know in a secondary story that he said he got there from 12. He got there at 12 and he left at 1:30. Now, these three girls right here, there's actually four, so just imagine in this cluster here that there's four, because there's a younger girl that wasn't one of the witnesses that were brought to trial. So this is back, and it's at 12:43, February 13th, 2017. So these girls, they start walking in this direction at 12:43. But for them to be at the bridge at 12:43, they were probably hanging out there for a few minutes, right? So they likely got to the Freedom Bridge over here to get there at like 12:20, let's say 12:15, 12:20, and they're just walking. Then they're taking pictures here at 12:43. So that means they cleared the bridge. They did not see Richard Allen, like he claimed in his 2022 interview, that he walked this direction. They didn't see him at all. They walked all the way this way and then all the way back to the bench. Hadn't seen him yet. So that clears almost the entire time that he claimed. And again, his phone doesn't ping anywhere around. And then the girls, they get to the bench at 126, and that's proven by a photograph. And I have the photograph. It says 126 on there. Then the girls start moving towards the Freedom Bridge because they're going to leave, but they're just kind of hanging out, talking, chatting, walking slowly. 1 minute after those girls took that photograph at that bench, Richard Allen's vehicle, or at least a vehicle matching the description of his, a 2016 black Ford Focus with special rims on it, drives by the Hoosier Harvest Store at 127, then parks at the abandoned CPS building. Then Richard Allen gets out of the vehicle and heads to the Freedom Bridge. He says just after going over the Freedom Bridge and onto the trails, he passed 3 girls, and those girls said they saw him in the exact same spot. And then those girls then sort of, they're just hanging out again, talking. Richard Allen heads to the bridge. Now, he likely passed them right around 133 to 135, right? So if you had 11 minutes, that means he got to the Monenhigh Bridge between 144 and 146. So right here, he passes those girls. This right here is Richard Allen. It's proven. As a matter of fact, all 3 of these girls said the person they saw in Libby's video is the same person they passed, even though their descriptions were slightly different. But everybody knows that that's the reality, that eyewitness testimony is often varying between different people all seeing the same person, especially when you aren't told to, hey, remember what this person looks like. There's all kinds of studies on it. There's videos out there on YouTube you can find that show that phenomenon. I mean, it's wildly different. But they all saw the same person. And he admits to seeing them, and they saw him. So he gets to the bridge, like I said, between 144 and 146. Then Betsy Blair, driving her vehicle, passes the Hoosier Harvest Store at 146, which is almost exactly the time that he would have got to the bridge, or 2 minutes after if you take the quickest time that he got there. So that means Betsy Blair gets out and starts going. She starts walking the trails. So I think she parked her car, she got out of her vehicle, and she walked to the Monenhigh Bridge. Just behind her was Abby and Libby being dropped off by Kelsey at about 149. And they're just there to take pictures and have fun, where Betsy Blair is there to exercise, so she's moving much quicker. So she likely gets to the bridge at about, if you got her car here at 146, 147, she probably got to the bridge at 153. However, she never actually made it right to the bridge. I'd always thought she made it to the bridge because she said in the probable cause document that she was 50 feet away, but in reality, she turned around at the barricade, which is 111 feet. The start of the bridge is 50 feet from platform 1. The barricades are 111 feet, which is much different and probably explains why her memory of the person on the platform just isn't correct. But she's seeing the same person because this has to be him. If you go back, you'll see that Richard Allen passes those girls and he goes right to the bridge. So he is there right then. Then Betsy Blair parks her car, gets out, and walks that direction. Now, Richard Allen would have no time. He would have had to run like Carl Lewis to get past Betsy Blair to be over here somewhere for her not to have seen him. So she walks down and she gets to the bridge and she sees him standing on platform 1, exactly the same platform that Richard Allen said he was standing on. Richard Allen said he was wearing jeans, a dark blue or black Carhartt jacket, with a hoodie and some sort of head covering. That matches the description of the person in Libby's video perfectly. Then, after Betsy Blair gets to the bridge, she turns around and walks past Abby and Libby. She remembers seeing their pictures in the paper, and she said, oh my God, those are the girls that I passed. That means that Abby and Libby therefore have to pass Richard Allen next. He never said he passed them. And he doesn't because he doesn't want to associate himself with the girls. Then Richard Allen, I think, goes back a little ways down the trail and watches the girls go by, and then he follows. All right, now he follows them across the bridge. Let's take a look at what Richard Allen said in his confession. He said he saw his mother in the morning in Mexico, Indiana, which is very close to where the Kleins live, but that's another story. He was offered an invitation to go out for lunch, but declined. He told Walla he drank 3 beers and then went to the trails. He saw Abby and Libby walking on the trail and followed them. He said he did something with his gun, and that's when the bullet fell out. He ordered the girls down the hill with the intent to assault them. By his account, he saw something, either a man or a van. He saw a van, all right? So this person wasn't able to hear what he said, but I've heard that he said white van, but even if he just said van, the only van in that area is Brad Weber's van, who's Kay Weber's son, who lives right there off of the private drive at the end of it. As a matter of fact, that's their private driveway. He ordered the girls across the creek, and then it says then he cut their necks and then covered their bodies with tree branches. He walked to his car, which he'd parked at a nearby building. And that building is the abandoned CPS building. All right, but while he was on the bridge and he orders the girls down the hill, we also know what was said by the girls. Abby says, "Is he right there? Is he right here?" And then she says, "Don't leave me up here." So that means that Libby is already off the bridge, perhaps even walked a little bit back and was looking at like where to go. And then Libby says, "This is the path." And then says something like, "That be a gun." Some people think she probably said, "Abby, that's a gun." And then, "There's no path here," is what Abby said. And then a male voice says, "Guys." And then one of the girls replies, "Hi." And the man says, "Down the hill." So that matches exactly what Richard Allen said. As a matter of fact, you can see it right there. That'd be a gun. Remember how Richard Allen said that he did something with his gun? And you can see it propped up in that image that I showed you earlier. So to continue here, it says, he ordered the girls across the creek, cut their necks, and then covered their bodies with tree branches. He walked to his car, which he parked at a nearby building. Wallen noted that Allen seemed relieved after the admission. Allen continued to live his life as normal after the killings, he said. Wow. So, I mean, that's absolutely incredible, isn't it? And that's exactly what happened. Everything that was just said. Now, to look at that on a map, let's take a look at Google Earth. So right here at, I think it's 2:14 and 34 seconds is when the video stopped recording. And the girls were taken down the hill right here at 2:14 and 34 seconds. And then they were made to walk down here. And I always thought that this area here was the area he intended to assault them. This is back in the day when I would cover the case. But I thought maybe the girls tried to make a run for it. But it sounds like it's a different story now, because now we hear from his own words. And we found out that at 2:02 that afternoon, Brad Weber got off of work, and it takes 20 to 25 minutes. So let's just say a minute or two to get to the car. So, you know, right around like 2:28, 2:29, he would be driving right here on the private drive, and Richard Allen, Abby and Libby were right there. And he, you know, Richard Allen looked up, sees the van, and goes, "Oh my God." And then after the van drove by, he moved them across the creek, and then he continued to do whatever he was going to be doing over there. You know, we don't know now where the girls made to partially undress on the south side of the creek and then finished over there. Don't really know, but he did kill them. He did cover them with branches. And then he walks up through the cemetery and heads this direction. Now, we know from Sarah Carbaugh, who's another witness, who said that the person that she saw was the man in Libby's video. She was driving by right here, and there was a group of people standing here. And they were the people looking, that are showing up, right around 4, you know, it's 3:57, looking for Abby and Libby. And then she drove by this direction and saw a guy, muddy and bloody, walking on the north side of the road. Now, this same person is likely Richard Allen. I don't know. All I know for certain is that Richard Allen is bridge guy, and he's the one that took the girls to this location. Now, I don't know. I believe that this is Richard Allen, but it doesn't matter. However, it might explain why he's not on the Hoosier Harvest store. If you think he's walking here, he probably noticed that same group of people standing here and then walked up like this, across, and then to the Hoosier Harvest store. So based on the evidence that was given at trial so far, and also in the probable cause document, Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. His own words place him over here, and the bullet that was found at the crime scene matched the ejection marks from Richard Allen's gun. So why does there need to be something else given to people to see that Richard Allen is the killer? He is 100% the guy, and if he's not convicted in this case, there will never be justice for Abby and Libby, because Richard Allen is the killer. So before we end this video, let me show you some of the comments Richard Allen made. These are from the pool notes. I'm ready to confess. I don't want to die. I, Richard Matthew Allen, killed Abby and Libby all by myself. Nobody helped me. I am not crazy. I am only acting like I am crazy. Well, everybody, I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you can see how Richard Allen is the Bridge Guy, how he is the killer in the case. There is no doubt. If he was treated poorly in prison, it has absolutely no bearing on the fact that he confessed to information that only the killer would know, and he's locked in as Bridge Guy. He is the killer. All right, so thank you for watching, and as I always say, hit that like button, you guys. Hit that like button. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.